For steady flight, the aircraft must be in a state of balance, 0 moments around the axes, and the flying controls enable this to be achieved for all possible configurations and centre of gravity positions. Secondly, the controls will be required to manoeuvre the aircraft around its 3 axes. The principle of operation of all of the flying controls is explained in the subject Principles of Flight. Here in this lesson, we only consider them as part of the aircraft structure. Rotation around the longitudinal axis is rolling and is controlled by the ailerons. Rotation around the lateral axis is pitching and is controlled by the elevators or by a moving tailplane. Rotation around the normal axis is yawing and is controlled by the rudder. On some aircraft, rotation around 2 of the axes may be achieved with one control surface. For instance, the elevon, which is a mixture of elevator and aileron, is used on tailless aircraft to give both pitching and rolling. The ruddervator, which is the name of the control surfaces on a V-tail aircraft, enables both pitching and yawing. The stabilator is a movable tailplane combining the dual function of horizontal stabilizer and elevator. That is, it gives both longitudinal stability and control. The movement of the flying control surfaces in response to the movement of the cockpit controls in light aircraft is achieved mechanically. This means that the control surfaces are connected directly to the cockpit controls by a system of cables, rods, levers and chains. Pitch control can be obtained through the use of either elevators, flying tailplanes or canard control. For the purpose of this lesson, we'll assume that our aircraft has elevators fitted to the tailplane. If that is the case, then rearward movement of the control column causes upward movement of the elevator, which causes the aircraft to pitch nose upwards, and vice versa. Control in roll is achieved by ailerons. Turning the control wheel to the right causes the right aileron to move up and the left aileron to move down, giving roll to the right. Control in yaw is enabled by the rudder. Moving the right rudder pedal forward causes the rudder to move to the right and causes the aircraft to yaw to the right. The amount of movement of each control surface to either side of its neutral position is laid down so that the required control can be achieved over the full range of operating conditions. The movement is not necessarily the same each side of neutral. For example, an elevator usually has a greater deflection upwards than downwards. The limit of movement of the control surface is determined by a mechanical stop. The function of mechanical stops is to prevent excessive control surface deflection, which may cause the aircraft structure to be overstressed during normal operations. A stop which limits the movement of the control surface is called a primary stop. A stop which limits the movement of the control column or rudder pedals is called a secondary stop. When the primary stop is closed, there will be a small clearance at the secondary stop. Flutter is the rapid and uncontrolled oscillation of a flight control, or the surface to which it is attached, which occurs as a result of an unbalanced surface. Flutter is caused by the interaction of aerodynamic forces, inertia forces, and the elastic properties of the surface or structure, and can lead to the catastrophic failure of the structure. Flutter can be prevented by mass-balancing control surfaces to move the control surface centre of gravity closer to the hinge, and therefore alter the period of vibration. Flutter must not occur within the normal flight operating envelope of the aircraft. The fact that an aircraft is poorly maintained, particularly in respect to excessive control surface backlash or flexibility, may mean that flutter will occur at speeds below the limit airspeed. An aircraft is trimmed when it will maintain its attitude and speed without the pilot having to apply any force to the cockpit controls. If it's necessary for a control surface to be deflected to maintain balance of the aircraft, the pilot will need to apply a force to the cockpit control to hold the surface in its deflected position. This force may be reduced to zero by operation of the trim controls. The aircraft may need to be trimmed in pitch as a result of changes of speed, changes of power, or varying centre of gravity positions. Trimming in yaw will be needed as a result of changes in propeller torque, or if there is asymmetric power on a twin-engined aircraft. Trimming in roll is less likely to be needed, but would be required if there was a lateral displacement of the centre of gravity. For example, if the contents of the fuel tanks in each wing were allowed to become wildly different, or, in the case of a twin-engined aircraft, if one engine had failed. Aircraft are fitted with high-lift devices to reduce the takeoff and landing distances. This permits operation at greater weights from given runway lengths and enables greater payloads to be carried. A flap is a hinged portion of the trailing edge which can be deflected downwards and so produce an increase of camber. There are various types of flap design which all increase both lift and drag in varying amounts. The most popular type of flap used on light aircraft is the plane or camber flap. This type of flap increases the camber of the wing when extended, and in doing so can increase the maximum lift of the wing by about 50%. Lowering flap will increase both the lift and the drag of the aircraft, but not in the same proportion. Selecting flap will cause a pitch change. The overall change of pitch will be influenced by the type of flap, the position of the wing, and the position of the tailplane. A tension, or tensile load, is one which tends to stretch a structural member. Components designed to resist tensile loads are known as ties. Compressive loads are the opposite of tensile loads and tend to shorten structural members. Components designed to resist compressive loads are known as struts. Shear is a force which tends to slide one face of the material over an adjacent face. Riveted joints are designed to resist shear forces. Bending of the structure involves the three basic loadings. They are tension, as the outer edge stretches, compression, as the inner edge squeezes together, and shear across the structure as the forces try to split it. Torsion or twisting forces produce tension at the outer edge, compression at the inner edge, and shear across the structure. Stress is the internal force inside a structural member which resists an externally applied force, and therefore a tensile load or force will set up a tensile stress, compression loads, and compressive stresses, etc. Stress is defined as the force per unit area, and is measured in units of newtons per square millimetre. When an external force of sufficient magnitude acts on a structure, the structural dimensions change. This change is known as strain, and is the ratio of the change in length to the original length, and is a measure of the deformation of any loaded structure. Buckling occurs to thin sheet materials when they are subjected to end loads, and to ties if subjected to compressive forces. The maximum load that the designer would expect an airframe or component to experience in service is termed the design limit load. The design ultimate load is the design limit load times the safety factor. The minimum safety factor specified in design requirements is 1.5. The structure must withstand design ultimate load without collapse. The safety factor is the ratio of the design ultimate load to the design limit load.